Brent and Kelsey from Northwest Iowa.
How far?
1,100 miles.
We're happy to have them.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
I don't know how a blind cow could possibly be allowed up on public land. That cow's totally blind. It looks like it's injured too. That little blind cow looks like it got in that top gate. But there's still probably another 6 or 8 cows up there. You know, the last time I chased the cows off our land on a four-wheeler, I swore I wouldn't use a four-wheeler anymore because it was the same weekend I cut my foot with a chainsaw and I rolled my four-wheeler and I smacked my head pretty good. I probably got a concussion. And I swore off using four-wheelers after that, and I started using my drone. But I can't imagine you could have a blind cow up on public land. It really isn't the cows' fault that they managed to work their way onto my land and happened to get chased off by me in the four-wheeler, but the truth is they're looking for feed and water anywhere they can find it right now. And I still made it to church on time. I'm wrapping up all of the details left with the high fence deer pen, and the gates are the #1 priority so the cows can't find their way into that deer pen any more than they already have. So getting these gates hung and mounted will keep the cows out. So once the frame of the gate is built, I'm welding the fencing that I already have to the gate so I don't have to use the galvanized cattle panels like I've used in the past. Because that 10-acre deer pen is getting up into the mountains a little bit, I decided to build one-piece gates instead of the two-piece gates like I've built in the past, because I believe the one-piece gates are going to be much safer. When the laws of the land were originally established, especially in the western states, almost all of the benefits were given to the ranchers and the cows because they were so needed at that time. Even still today, Idaho's a fence-out state, and if I don't want to have somebody else's cows on my land, I have to fence them out. Since the day we bought our land, we've been learning this lesson the hard way. One of my favorite Chris Ledoux songs from back in the day is a song called "Used to Want to Be a Cowboy." And as much as I wear boots and Wranglers and pretend to be a cowboy, I have zero interest in feeding someone else's cows with feed from my land. All that's left to do on the high-fenced deer pen is get these gates hung, figure out the locking mechanisms for the gates, put some bracing in where it's called for, adjust the fencing in a few spots, and then call for the inspection. So we're getting pretty close to being wrapped up with the high-fenced deer pen. I mentioned this in the last video, but rather than using galvanized cattle panels, I'm using the 8-foot fencing which I used around the entire deer pen and welding it to the frame of the gates. And so far, I can tell that it's going to work out just fine. There's no way a deer is going to be able to push or break the fencing off of the gate. And as long as the inspector sees it the way I see it, we should be okay. It would be ideal to be building these gates on a flat surface inside the shop, but I try not to weld in the shop any more than I have to, because that smoke that comes off the welder ends up all over everything inside the shop. So as long as I'm not in the direct sunlight, and as long as things are level, welding out here in front of the porch is fine with me. I prefer to work outside as long as I can possibly work outside, because I know what's just around the corner. And even when the bad weather comes, I'm still going to probably do stuff outside as long as I can. Specifically the 8-sided cabin. I'm going to get back on that cabin. I'm going to get the sawmill tuned up and ready to do some serious cutting. And we're going to get that cabin dried in, hopefully before the weather really gets bad. Again, I prefer to spend as much time as I possibly can outside, even in direct sunlight if that's what it calls for, because I feel better for it. And I know being outside in the woods is good for me. I'm down to these last 2 smaller gates, and once they're all assembled and ready to go, I've got to take all of these gates up on the hill and figure out how to mount them in a way where they can't accidentally come open. And I'm anxious to get this last piece of the puzzle figured out. These are the only double gates that I'm going to have in the entire deer pen, and the double gates are necessary because there's going to be an alley that leads down to the other pen right here. I've got to make a few minor adjustments to get everything looking the way that I want it, but I'm starting to get excited. Once all the gates are installed, I have to come back and put a few more posts in the ground right here where this alleyway is going to be that leads down to the other deer pen. So when the time comes, I can simply open up these set of gates and open up the gates down low. Then I've just got to convince the deer that they need to come up here. Okay, this set of gates right here might be the only set of gates that's going to get used on a somewhat regular basis, other than maybe the gate down there. I think I'm going to feed and water them down there in that corner. But this gate is going to be used as an alleyway to go down to the other pen. So I can simply open a gate down there, open this gate up here, and let the deer come up into the new 10-acre pen. So first set of gates done. So I don't want my deer to get too wild up here in the 10-acre deer pen. So every day I'm going to come up here and feed them the grain that I like to give to them and fill up their water and maintain this relationship that I've worked so hard to develop with them over the last couple of years. And I think I'm going to do most of that from this corner right here. But at some point before the snow gets too deep, I have to move the deer back down into that 1-acre pen for the winter. So this is the top corner of the high fence deer pen, and this is likely the spot where the little blind yearling cow found its way into the deer pen. And after I turned the cameras off on that Sunday morning, I helped that little blind cow find its mama, and I tried to make the best of the situation. But I wasn't in the best mood when I headed off for church that particular Sunday morning. So this corner, this gate's almost never going to get used. I'm actually going to put some bolts and a lock and a chain on this gate because it's probably going to get opened once a year, and I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to think about it. So I'm going to securely close this gate once the inspector has come through and seen what he needs to see. So I'm going to put some locks on it to make sure this gate doesn't accidentally come open for some reason. So. So this is the bottom corner of the high fence deer pen, and I don't necessarily think this gate's going to get open very much either, but I'll also have the option to feed and water the deer from this gate if I need to. Now that all of the gates are installed, I'm installing all of the bracing on all of the corners that the inspector specified I needed to have last time he was out here. This is the driest that I've ever seen it, frankly, in the 9 years that we've owned this land up here. It has never been this long since we've had rain. It's been over 2 months. Everything is so dusty and so dry right now. But in the back of my head, I know these storms are inevitable. It seems like any moment now they're going to roll in here and do what they do. And because of the elevation that we are at, they usually pack a punch. And my goal is to be done with all of the fencing, have the inspection done, have the deer in the pen. So when these rains come in, all of this dirt that's frankly new dirt that I've cut in has a chance to settle and compact, and the new grasses, the new ground cover can come up and just kind of cover everything like it does. And I'm getting real close to being finished here. I'm gonna have to go pick up one more roll of this, this barbless wire to finish these corners, but I'm going to call for the inspection here in the next day or two and see if I can get him out here and get him up here to do this inspection before he has to wear his muck boots. The first time I had him do that inspection down there on that first pin, I think it was either October or it might have even been November, and it probably didn't make him very happy to have to do that inspection with all that mud. So I'm hoping I can get everything done before the weather changes. But the upside to the weather changing is as soon as it cools off and as soon as it wets everything down again, I can start burning these brush piles and making some of the waste from clearing this new deer pen, make it go away. So I love the weather up here. I love how rapidly it changes. But once those kind of storms come in, it makes it hard to do anything else. And so I need to be prepared. The plan is to get back on that little wood shop. The plan is to do quite a few more projects down there closer to the house, to get back on that little 8-sided cabin really is my hope that I can spend the fall working on that. So on the one hand, it's so dry and so dusty that I can't wait for the rain to get here. But on the other hand, I need to get this done. I need to get it inspected. I need to get everything finished with this deer pen before the weather really changes. So. All that I do for the corner bracing is use some barbless wire, some fencing staples, and some pieces of maple to put just enough tension on the corners that everything should stay right where it's supposed to. It feels like I've been in some sort of a fever dream for the last 2 years while building this high fence deer pen, and the idea that all I have left to do is some final details is kind of hard to believe. I'd been putting it off for too long, and I could see the storm clouds building on the horizon, so it's time to get the final 60 bales stacked and out of the rain.